Today we're going to be talking about Henry Joseph Darger Jr., known for drawing little children in his paradise world full of, naked children. But is he a creepy pedo, or is he a traumatized artist with a sad backstory? Edgy artist behavior, or a pedo? Let us dive into this obscure artist's past for the truth.
So, Henry Joseph Darger Jr. was an American writer, novelist, and an artist who worked as a hospital custodian in Chicago, Illinois. He became famous after his death as a about 15,000-page novel and fantasy manuscript called The Story of the Vivian Girls in what is known as the realms of the unreal of the Galactico-Angelanian war storm caused by child slave rebellion. Pretty long name, was discovered after his death in his room. It's based on the themes of war and suffering of innocent children, along with several hundred drawings and watercolor illustrations for the story. These are also known as the illustrations of naked children. Dear Henry led an isolated life. Orphaned and institutionalized, his father sent Henry to live and be schooled at the mission of Our Lady of Mercy, a Roman Catholic school, but after some violent behavior and a psychic evaluation, Darger was sent to live in the Illinois Asylum for Feeble-Minded. The asylum used children as a labor force, as the government of Lincoln had fought hard for Darger, and Darger himself was forced to work on the farm from early morning till evening, where violence from the taskmasters was encouraged to punish children for misbehaving. Only after some time will this abuse come to light. He found menial employment once he grew up in Chicago hospitals. He spent most of his non-working life alone in his room. His daily life was full of loneliness as a result of his own childhood sufferings. Due to this, Darger began to build up a vast fantasy world of his own.
The blood-soaked pages of the realm of the unreal are given some relief with the descriptions of the beauty of the Vivian girls and their allies. The child-loving and protecting Blengings, large creatures equipped with fairy wings. Darger even makes an appearance himself as the valiant Captain Henry Darger, fighting to protect the child slaves. Many of these works were double-sided, often with starkly contrasting scenes. The idyllic rural setting of the little girls at play being backed by the scenes of appalling carnage and dismemberment. Darger had little confidence in his drawings and used a patchwork collage to build up his compositions, which, although horrific, was delicate in a way unlike his written works. He traced figures from every possible source, above all magazines and comics, and had them photographically enlarged so that he could trace them again and again and add them to his pictures.
So, why is Darger so popular? Well, he isn't that popular as in he's an obscure artist, but he still had some level of fame after his death. Many would argue it's because his art is truly different and beautiful. That may be so. What is certain is that he led a life of such suffering, neglect, and isolation that he is truly one of the most emo of all emo artists with tragic backstories. The most significant external event in this narrow adult life occurred when Darger was nearly 20. A Chicago girl called Elsie Parabeck was abducted and strangled. The murder has never been solved, and a few claim Darger was the culprit. Darger certainly cherished a newspaper photograph of the girl and built a shrine to her memory when he lost her photo. But he could have just been touched by the girl's awful fate, which recalled his own dark abandoned childhood. This is also probably the point in which he started being seen as a pedophile by society.
The bloody events in the realms of the unreal are described in painful detail by Darger. Here's a snippet. Children were dispatched in the most horrible manner. Their intestines were cut out, the Glandinalians even pelting their victims with them. Children were commanded to eat the hearts of dead children, and those who refused were tortured beyond describing. These shocking passages show. For years, clinicians have attempted to diagnose Darger after his death. Some say he was schizophrenic, or that he had Asperger's syndrome. The fact that he painted so many infant girls nude might indicate he was a pedophile. Yet, It has also been argued that the penises that Darger gave to his girls showed that the artist was so innocent, he simply thought girls had penises, just like boys. Meanwhile, Darger's monographer, John McGregor, an expert on art of the insane, believes Darger was a kind of suppressed serial killer. Fun fact that our researcher didn't include was once he lost the picture of Elsie Parobeck, he got so mad at God he switched sides in his fictional world to the Glandinalians and began to draw gorgeous depictions of the citizens of Christian nation. But after years, he came to a conclusion that God had a reason to take away his favorite picture. So he switched sides again, and then he even drew a picture of his character, Captain Darger, apologizing to the Vivian girls for the war crimes he committed.
So he became the good guy in the end, basically. And after his death, his landlady came in to clean up his apartment and found this huge story that he had written. So technically, there is no right way to judge this guy, as there is not enough information on him to support whether he was a pedophile or not. He could have simply just had a really tragic past, which has caused him to become quite sad and depressed at life. He had a very not optimistic worldview. He was quite cynical. And in his stories, like my dear companion said, after he lost his favorite photo, he got pretty mad. But after that, he had his own redemption arc, and he believed in God again. So, in the end, we can't really say he's a pedophile. We should keep an open mind on these type of artists, since many artists do have a tragic past. It's quite a common thing with famous artists in the past. I wonder what that says about famous artists and the works that they create. Maybe the human mind just likes viewing representations of suffering.
Anyway, if you like the video, subscribe and like, or dislike if you want.
Thanks
I'm
for
out.
watching.